If those David Goggins, Cameron Haynes grind set mentality videos speak to you at a deep level, I'm sorry, but you're probably just lazy. I know because I love those videos. I love them because my default position has never been work harder, it's always been work smarter. I've always tried to squeeze 4 hours of work into 2 hours, and I'm happy to waste 4 hours scheming on how to save that time. For the supermajority of the human race, hard, bitter, grinding work has been the norm. Only growing up with the privilege of a leisurely childhood did I come to admire people like Goggins and Haynes. I have friends who grew up on a farm, working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week as their normal job. The grind set mentality videos mean nothing to those people. In this video, I'll discuss the reality of productivity and skill development. All that matters is what you actually do. Firstly, you must prioritize action over planning if you want to make any actual progress. You are entirely responsible for how you spend your time, and although it feels productive to plan, it rarely is. In fact, most people end up using planning as just another form of procrastination. It's like an RPG, life, where you never get to respec your talent points. What you do is what you become, no exceptions. People today, especially men, seem to feel victimized by the harsh reality of life, a reality that tells them that you have no value other than what they create. And in a sense, that's true. You're not a dog or a baby or a beautiful woman. You are desirable company relative to the value you bring to the people around you. And when a large percentage of the male population has no value, it's easy to understand why they would be resentful. It's not acceptable though. Resentment is like a poison. People consume it willingly. So I don't condone those feelings that so often get projected onto women in the form of misogyny. However, you're being dishonest if you act surprised when a man who has had exclusively negative interactions with women becomes bitter, jaded, or resentful. We all must, as men, as a society, stop making excuses. Stop focusing on the past. You didn't get the job. She didn't love you back. And you didn't buy Bitcoin at 50 cents from your college weed dealer. God damn it. He was a genius and I didn't have faith. Only action moves you forward, and forward is the only meaningful direction. The old saying of no man can learn to swim by standing at the water's edge, he must jump in. This is true and we all know it to be. Yet we wring our hands and we plan meticulously, we make excuses and we distract ourselves with trivial nonsense. Knowing in hindsight that I could have worked harder has been a real pattern in my life. I could have worked so much harder in high school and college. I could have made so much more money while I was in China, but things happened as they did, and both personally and professionally, I have now exactly what I deserve. You deserve the product of your effort, no more. The entitlement, undeserved results is rampant in my generation, expecting to succeed with only a casual effort. The idea of work-life balance is antithetical to greatness. Movies like Whiplash are not about abusive authority figures or mental illness. It's not about antisocial behavior. Whiplash is about greatness, and the indisputable fact that greatness has a cost commensurate with achievement. And nobody achieves greatness with a level of effort that permits healthy work-life balance, healthy interpersonal relationships, or indulgences into unrelated hobbies and interests. If you're struggling to break out of the habit of procrastination, make your bed in the morning. Again, I reference the wisdom of Jordan Peterson. When he talks about cleaning your room, he is, in a very real sense, advising you to build productive momentum. That's the only reason I wake up at 4 a.m., so that I can build such momentum that by 9 a.m. when my real day begins, I feel unstoppable. Knowing that I've already cleaned my apartment, made my bed, lifted heavy weights, showered, ate a good breakfast, answered emails and texts, handled other busy work. By 9 or 10 a.m., I'm now diving into something that would normally be daunting, like a software project, and it feels so much more manageable due to the productive momentum I've gathered. These cheap wins you can gain on a daily basis, they'll never be the core of your productivity. Instead, they're like the oily rag accelerating the inferno, burning away the day's real challenges. A piece of wisdom we must all acquire is the ability to consider a new skill or knowledge base and ask ourselves, what result do we really want from this? Perhaps the thought might be as simple as, I want to be a great guitar player. Well, considering most people have never even picked up a guitar, becoming great relative to the average person is actually very easy. And this is the wisdom I referenced earlier, looking at a guitar and knowing that you don't have to commit your life to this in order to get most of the benefits of the skill. Let's consider for a moment a graph, where time and effort are on the vertical axis, and productive result is on the horizontal axis. As we spend more time and effort on something, our return decreases, while the time and effort required increases. This is the learning curve, from knowing nothing to a novel understanding to an expertise to the pursuit of mastery, when the line goes vertical and progress almost completely stops. A layman can tell the difference between someone who's practiced the guitar for 1 year versus 5 years. But only other guitar players will be able to tell the difference between the 10th year and the 15th year of practice. And mind you, those years likely entail a dedication that radically eclipses the early years. So now we can point to a moment on this graph where the practitioner has gained most of the result without entering the stages of diminishing returns. I call this the expert-master crossover, and I personally seek expertise in most things I do. I consciously avoid the pursuit of mastery, because by its very nature, it is a lifelong pursuit. I often think of the French pianist Chopin, who leapt from his deathbed to correct mistakes made by a family member who was incorrectly playing one of Chopin's compositions. Mastery is an acknowledgement that this is what I do. This is who I am, and until the day I die, I'll seek improvement, no matter how granular and no matter the cost. Mastery is a debt paid in blood, and only masters and experts can tell the difference between themselves. The layman won't even notice most of these nuances, because mastery is the process of turning a skill into an art form, and art in its subjectivity and abstraction of beauty is an infinite scale of quality. This is what I like to call the purgatory of art. Like Sisyphus rolling his boulder, you are willingly engaging in an effort with no conclusion. You are scaling an infinite slope. For playing the guitar, the optimal time investment might be 1 hour a day, a hard limit for the fact that your fingers will go numb. However, for other pursuits of expertise, a greater commitment is the most effective solution. Software, for example. I don't believe any progress could be made with only 1 hour a day. There is too much to learn, the material changes too quickly, and it's highly perishable knowledge. You would be forgetting as quickly as you're learning and end up making no progress. I recognized this early, so when I decided to learn software, I went full monk mode, 15 hours a day for 6 months in order to cross the barrier and plant myself into the pursuit of expertise. I even accepted a totally degenerate schedule, which entailed waking up at 3:30 a.m. with a glass of water and an Adderall next to my bed. Without turning on the lights, I would go take a piss, take the Addy, chug the water, and then I'd get back into bed. A second alarm would go off at 4 a.m. Now I wake up with an empty bladder, my thirst is quenched, and I have pharmaceutical energy pumping through my veins. Then I would do front squats until my legs caught fire, have breakfast, shower, and then 15 hours in front of the computer before going to bed and repeating it the next day. I acknowledge that this was degenerate and I don't recommend it to anybody, but it did the job. I forced those skills into my brain well enough to land my first professional role. I think of squeezing juice from a lemon. You've gotten most of what you want out of the initial squeeze. Each one beyond that will require dramatically more force and yield exponentially less juice. In my philosophy, most things in life only require one good squeeze, and then your best bet is to move on. Now let's discuss the power of consistency over intensity for sustainable growth. One of my greatest weaknesses has always been consistency. I studied sculpture in college, and as anyone who has done so knows, ceramic sculptures can take hundreds of hours of work to complete. My professors would tell me, your pieces sit unworked for sometimes a week or two and then make radical progress. They would tell me, if you could find consistency, you would find greatness also. And now 10 years later, I'm still looking for it. My weakness has been exacerbated by the novelty of passion. I have noticed that when I am extremely passionate about something, I can work with a blistering intensity. I can get work done far exceeding the hours invested, and I've tried to make this my primary mode of operation. I try to fill my life with passions and flow loosely from one to the other without structure, prioritizing a few hours of frantically productive work over a full day of begrudgingly disciplined productivity. And now, at 32 years old, with some expertise level skills and a host of attempts that never got off the ground due to my inconsistency, I think it's time to admit this strategy has failed me. So take it from me that without consistency, you'll accomplish little to nothing. You must cultivate discipline if you were not raised with those values instilled in you. Some men join the military, others learn by working blue-collar jobs. Some are fortunate enough to have a healthy example set by their parents, but whatever the case, without consistent effort, you'll make no progress. Passion will run dry. The novel excitement of some new project will diminish long before the project is finished, and only discipline will carry you through the remaining work. A statement that I hear often that bothers me terribly is when someone says, I could have done XYZ, and then you'll be subjected to whatever excuses they have to relieve them of the guilt of failure. No, you couldn't have. There is no try, you do or you do not. You dropped out of college. Not dropping out was a requirement. No, you couldn't have been a lawyer if you wanted to. You didn't ask her out and that was a requirement, so no, you couldn't have dated her if you wanted to. Those who obfuscate accountability to some outside factor deserve no respect. Like the people who cross the road in front of oncoming traffic with their chin up and a chip on their shoulder, almost daring the cars to hit them. These are the lowest cowards of our society, because to throw the responsibility of your well-being into the hands of others is the ultimate admission of weakness. That man who declares to the world that the weight of his own well-being is too heavy a burden to carry is the proverbial submission. And the false bravado of a 160-pound man-child pretending to be unfazed in the face of a multi-ton vehicle moving at 70 miles an hour might be the perfect analog to the entitlement of results so many people have in our society. This man feels entitled to the outcome of safely making it to the other side of the road. The reality, though, none of those people behind the wheels of those cars owe him anything. And should he be splattered across the road, he has gotten exactly the result he should have expected. I am 270 pounds, and just this year I started developing sleep apnea. I used to be so proud of the compliments women would give me telling me that I sleep so peacefully. Now I snore like a wildebeest. I know what I have to do. I've been battling this same 50 pounds of fat for years, and I stubbornly refuse to buy new clothes because I refuse to give up the fight. But what I also won't do is dodge accountability with some nonsense about I could lose weight if I wanted to, or, well, you see, I just have a slow metabolism. No, the grass is always greener, and I guarantee you there are some men who will watch this video and they wish they could put on 50 pounds in a year. When I develop the discipline to eat healthy every day for a long period of time, then the weight will come off. Before that happens, I don't deserve the results I want. I just want to end our talk today with a little quote from Elon Musk. If you don't make stuff, there is no stuff. Sounds trite, I know, but the world desperately needs people who produce a result. Your potential stopped mattering when you were 12 years old. From that point until now, all anyone has cared about are receipts. To prove yourself to the world that you can contribute, even if only in minor ways and only to the people around you. Thank you for watching until the end. Please hit the like button and subscribe, it really helps. And tell me your thoughts in the comment sections below. Take care.